Okay, we're checking in today with a great young British racing driver. She's competed in a whole range of different types of the sport, from go-karts to GT to single-seater. She's got some exciting ones as well coming up for the future. And she's the lovely Jamie Chadwick. Jamie, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. First of all, where are we speaking to you? Where are you locked down?
I like that term. Where am I locked down? I'm locked down in London. So yeah, I'm on my own at the moment. I was sort of in New Zealand just before lockdown, so I've come back. I'm sort of still in isolation a little bit, and yeah, locked down on my own here in London.
How are you finding it being on your own? Because it's a challenging scenario to be in at the best of times. Are you someone that likes their own company, or are you getting a little bit stir crazy?
A little bit of both. Part of me is a bit like I'm never on my own. I'm always traveling. I'm always with people. Always doing stuff. And actually now, the first few days, I was like, I can't do this. This is going to drive me insane. But then actually, I've started to learn to love it a little bit. But also, I do feel like I'm also being more sociable in a really weird way because of house party, FaceTime, everything. I'm actually talking to more people than I would normally. So there's the two sides of it, but I'm just trying to keep busy.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because for the first time in forever, it's so easy to catch up with your friends because no one's got anywhere else to be. You almost get a bit of sort of FaceTime fatigue, or I know I did at one point. I was like, I just want a night in front of the TV.
No, exactly. And especially for me, because my schedule is normally so offset to other people's. So I effectively work on weekends and then I'm free during the week. So normally it's really hard for me to catch up with friends and family and stuff. Whereas now actually it's a bit too much. It's overkill.
I mean, for someone who, spends so much of their life traveling, being at home for this long, I guess, whilst not necessarily in the way you'd like to spend it, is quite nice.
It is in a weird way. I think it's weird. I don't think I've spent more than 3 or 4 nights in my own bed at a time for the last maybe 6 months, if not more than that. So suddenly to spend a lot of time, I've literally turned, like I show you, my sort of living room into a home gym. It's basically just I'm ordering stuff relentlessly off Amazon. So hopefully I'll stop and hopefully, I can plateau. But it's nice to be at home for a little bit longer. And yeah, I'm just trying to basically still treat it as if, I'm going racing at the end of May. Well, sure I might be, but still treat it as if, I'm working towards something, obviously, and almost like a training camp. And so every day I wake up with a bit of purpose, with, an end goal of I need to tick off this training session, do this, and then that's going to be my day. And actually, although all I've really been doing is what probably seems like training and watching series, my days have been going quite quick. So it's not been too bad. I've been trying to learn a few new things to try and keep me entertained. But yeah, it's not actually been too bad.
Small victories, but also if you can say you've completed Netflix by the end of this, I think you're also doing just fine.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one to put on the CV.
So I want to talk to you about W Series. You won the inaugural series last year. Huge congratulations again. It was a series that I think kind of surprised a lot of people, wasn't it? In just how successful it was, how much attention it got, and how much it did for the profile of female drivers like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised me for sure. I think, yeah, I obviously went into it, with not huge expectation on the side of, what it was going to do for women's sport, purely because it was so new and such a sort of different thing coming into, motorsport. We've never seen that in our industry. So I guess, I had no expectation, but going into it, I knew what I wanted to do and achieve from a purely sporting point of view, which was to try and win the championship. And yeah, I think all the other stuff's just been a massive added bonus. It really has been probably the biggest springboard of my career so far. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's quite a way down the line already into this year, but I think even now I'm still relishing off the back of last year's success, and I'm so grateful for what it's managed to sort of give me up until this point.
You're someone that was on a lot of people's radar, particularly people that are into motorsport. You were one of those drivers who was on people's radar before, least of all because of some of the achievements that you've kind of clocked up on your way through. I'm just going to embarrass you and just list them off. You were the first woman and youngest driver to win the British GT Championship. You're the first woman to win a British F3 race, the first female winner of the MRF Challenge Series. And then, of course, you were the first race winner and then championship winner. So you were someone that was having all this success coming through, racing against male drivers as well. But the W Series does feel, like you say, like it was a real springboard in terms of stepping up and becoming, you know, a driver for Williams in the F1 setup. Do you think that the W Series had a direct impact on making that possible?
Oh, absolutely. I think where the difference the W Series made, right or wrong in the approach and the way that they've done it, you cannot argue that they've taken, well, last year's 18 to 20 female racing drivers, you know, to the forefront and put them on people's radar. And I think the sort of correlation between the success I had and the exposure that the W Series gave me just basically gave me the perfect opportunity to get the role, say, at Williams, and yeah, the other opportunities that have come off the back of it have been huge. So yeah, I mean, from my side, it's a no-brainer that there's the direct correlation there. I mean, I'm under absolutely no illusions. If I want to make Formula One, there's still a lot more that I've got to go on and do and achieve, but I really do genuinely feel like W Series has given me that first big leg up in my career to do that.
We actually first met about 3.5, 4 years ago, I think, back in 2016, the first time you drove in a single-seater car, having come through karting and done the GT championships. You know, 3.5, 4 years isn't that long of a time, but I imagine, you know, you've been so busy in that, it must have been a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because just before doing this interview, I remember that's when we first met. And yeah, it's weird. I think the way sport quite often works is, you know, 3 or 4 years ago doesn't actually seem that long ago, but I think we jam so much into each year that it feels like a lifetime ago. And yeah, to think that's when I first drove a single seater is a bit crazy. Obviously we've come a long way since then, but yeah, it's really important sometimes to remember that, you know, I only drove my first single seater that long ago, and actually the development that's required and the process in all sports, but in motorsport especially, you know, it's good to remember that and, you know, focus on what I need to learn and the steps I need to take going forwards.
One thing with you as well is obviously you came through karting, like a lot of racing drivers. Then you did the GT, you've gone to single seater. So you've had that real variety of driving experiences, and looking to maybe mix that up again next year with the Extreme E Series. Is that variety of driving something you think gives you a real advantage when you look towards your sort of ultimate F1 goal?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's something I see as necessarily an advantage, or it's more just I love racing and I enjoy doing the different disciplines. I think there's a lot that I find useful in trying to learn different skills and different elements. And I think if I've got a toolbox, for example, I can add loads of different tools to it from everything that I learned doing different stuff. And I really enjoy doing that. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do that through most of my career, through sort of different disciplines. And I think going forwards, it's exactly what I want to maintain. And like you said, we've got Extreme E coming up next year. I mean, I don't know if I'll be racing in that or not, but still, it's an exciting project to be a part of. And yeah, I think for me, it's just being as versatile as possible, keeping it varied, and yeah, obviously enjoying it. I think I'm very, very lucky. So to enjoy it and yeah, sort of do as much as possible is the ultimate goal.
You were so used to competing against the boys at every age range and every type of competition you've been in. When you line up for W Series, does it feel any different at all?
Honestly, and I'm not just saying this, it doesn't at all. I think that's one of the really nice things about motorsport is, and it's a really cliche saying, so I hate saying it, but when the helmet's on, you know, you really don't notice the difference. And, you know, the racing last year in W Series proved to be really close and competitive. And yeah, like I said, when the helmet's on, it could be anyone that's, you know, under there. It could be a 50-year-old man, it could be a 16-year-old girl. It doesn't make a difference. And I think from my side, that was one of the great things about it, was the racing was great. And I think that going forwards is what I learned off the back of last year and the personal development that I was able to have, I think has put me in a much better position going forwards.
So coming into 2020 then, you wrapped up the F3 out in Asia, finishing fourth, getting some points towards that super license. Got W Series round 2, teeing up to hopefully start end of April, but we'll wait and see what happens there and what that looks like. But when you started 2020, before COVID-19, what were you aiming to do this year? What were the goals?
Yeah, obviously, it seems a long time ago, even the start of this year. But I guess the main focus over the winter was to have a really strong winter campaign. I think for me, championships are won and lost in the off season. And last year, that's where I felt like I gained such an advantage as I was racing out in India and out in Asia over the winter, which gave me a big leg up when it came to the first race of the W Series. So this year it was the same sort of focus, was to have a really good off season, which, like you said, meant going out and doing the Asian F3 Championship. And then, the focus this year was to obviously try and consolidate my, retain my W Series Championship. And then also I was planning on doing a few other bits around that potentially in Japan, and a few other sort of things that would have cropped up. So it was looking to be a busy year. I mean, we can still make it potentially a busy year, but it's not quite obviously how I would have liked it to have gone. But I guess every racing driver in the world's saying the same thing. So I'm super, super lucky to have been able to have done the Asian F3 Championship, because that's given me a good amount of racing already. But hopefully we can get the ball rolling and get back to the track soon.
So looking at the further down this year, hopefully W Series will run in some form, if not the full championship. What are you hoping to have achieved by the end of this year? Because I know as well there's the super license to bear in mind, isn't there, with the F1 Dream?
Yeah, so aspirationally, obviously W Series haven't announced a calendar yet. That's obviously going to be subject mainly or purely by government advice and how things unfold over the next few weeks, especially. But from my side, aspirationally, everything going to plan. I'd like to obviously retain my title in the W Series, and with that obviously gives me a handful of super license points to potentially do some FP1s at the end of the year. Again, this is aspirational, so who knows? But I think if I can get those super license points and then be in a position where I can potentially step up to FIF3 for 2021, that's got to be the goal.
Out of everyone we've spoken to so far for these check-ins, you're the only person that I've spoken to who is on lockdown on their own. So what is your top tip for other people? Because there are plenty of people out there who are on their own. It is difficult. What's your top tip for staying active and healthy in mind and body, especially if you're on your own in lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel necessarily like I'm on my own all the time. I'm on FaceTime, I'm on Skype to a lot of people. I use my trainer more or less every day through FaceTime, and we train together. So it doesn't feel too bad. I mean, I'm hoping to go home at some point back to my parents, so I won't be fully on my own. But I would say the only advice is just keep busy, keep sort of doing stuff that, for me, I'm really lucky that I still have to train and work towards my sport. I know some people that have been, say, furloughed or what have you, haven't got much to do, but if you can find an activity or something to do, then try and keep busy and enjoy having time to do stuff that you might not otherwise have.
And finally, on that, of the, I take it, many series you've been watching since you've been off, what's your top recommendation?
Okay. This, I wouldn't say it's my top recommendation, but I just finished Tiger King, which has blown my mind.
I've still been resisting it. I can't give in to the hype.
I don't think I wouldn't. Everyone said you have to watch it, and actually I wish I hadn't, because it's kind of just taken away several hours and brain power of my life. But I mean, I've not got anything else to do, but definitely worth watching because it's just crazy. And then what else have I been watching? I've actually got quite into, because I've been cycling a lot and training quite a lot and running. I've been I'm toying with the idea of trying to do an Ironman at the end of the year. Not the full one, a half Ironman. So it's only a half marathon as opposed to a full marathon at the end of on the run. So I've been watching on YouTube all sorts of videos on all that kind of stuff. So I've been geeking out a little bit, but that's the other little goal I have to focus on this year.
Wow, retain a W Series title and become an complete an Ironman or half Ironman. I reckon that's enough for 1 year. I think it's nice to have different sports and do different things. And I think, I've really started to enjoy my cycling and running. I need to get better in the swimming, but I've really started to enjoy it over this period of time, especially, and gives me something a little bit different to focus on, that also seems to help with the racing. So that's nice. Absolutely, Jamie. It's been brilliant to speak to you. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us, and stay safe and stay healthy.
You too. Cheers.